of the Town Council, and I can advise that members of the public will be given an opportunity to speak during public open session, but not at other times. The meeting is being filmed, and by being present, attendees are deemed to have agreed to be filmed and to the use of those images and sound recordings. I can advise that attendees should not disclose any personal information of individuals, as this would infringe the data protection rights of that individual. And can I please ask everyone to mute their microphones when not speaking? Thank you very much. Okay, first item on the agenda is apologies for absence. We've got apologies from Councillor North, Mr. Tarrant, the Town Clerk, and I believe Councillor Knight may be joining online, and I think Councillor Sajid as well. So they'll be online as well. Item number 2, declarations of interest. Do any members have any pecuniary or disclosable pecuniary or non-pecuniary interests at all on the agenda? Nope. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 3, Town Mayor's announcements. Kind of got 3 really announcements. One, I attended the 6th birthday of the Ferment Talk charity at the Big Theatre on Saturday. Ferment Talk, some of you will know, is a mental health charity that's been set up locally, originally in a sort of Pot and Sandy in Biggleswade, and has now grown to be in a much broader area and covers Hitchin and Shefford and other places as well. And it was nice to be part of their celebrations, and they were very pleased about the support the Town Council has given Ferment Talk over the past few years as well. So that was noted that the Town Council are supporting their activities, and it's benefited a lot of people locally as well. So that's been a positive thing. And then on Monday, I visited Edward Peak School and had a tour around and saw some of their new facilities that are sort of finished, and some things that are still to be completed as part of their transition to the 2-tier system. And obviously Edward Peak being the other secondary school we have in the town, and also had a good conversation with the head teacher there, and a long conversation with the school council about various issues in Biggleswade as well. So that was particularly useful. And then on Friday, I think a number of us are going to be at the opening of the new accessible lift and bridge at the Biggleswade railway station. Obviously, we can report back on that obviously at the next council meeting, but that will be at 11 o'clock on Friday, and there's going to be a number of people coming down, myself, I know other councillors, local member of parliament, and I think some students from local school as well. So we'll look out for that. But that's a long project now come to completion, I think. So that's great. Item number 4, public open session. Anybody? Councillor Fage.
Thank you, Chairman. So just to speak on item 9A, which is the Ivel Valley School consultation, I firstly want to thank the Town Council for taking time to properly consider every option and the various merits and criteria that need to be considered for a decision on this scale. This, I think, first came to your meeting in November and December, and the fact that you've deliberately taken that time to consume all of the information that's come your way, I think, is testament to the way that the Town Council is about to make a decision, whatever that may be. Just a couple of things. Firstly, I shared some benchmarking data with all councillors on the 3rd of January, which I know there have been question marks over the figures for each of the options, and I've not yet been in a position to provide more detail around the breakdown of those figures. So I'm sorry about that. But hopefully the benchmarking data is quite telling, as it shows that new build schools in the 80th percentile can be and are consistently cheaper to build than existing buildings are to amend, certainly in the case of SEND schools. So I hope you take that information on board, and that informs your decision making. The only other thing I'd like to say is I hope that there is momentum at Central Beds once this consultation closes. I know the Chairman of Children's Services is keen to get some traction behind whatever the outcome of the consultation is. I hope in your remarks, as I have done throughout, we obviously think about the children, but also think about Biggleswade as well, because there are 63 councillors at Central Bedfordshire. We all put the children first, we absolutely will, but if there is anything in there that is specific to Biggleswade, now is a good opportunity to get that on the table as well, because I certainly will be listening to it and will be trying to amplify that voice at Central Bedfordshire. But those are the only points I wanted to make, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Fage. Anyone online, Asia, at all? No? Okay, thank you very much. That handily moves us on to number 5, which is our invited speaker. And I'm delighted to welcome Nicola King, who is the Youth Participation Coordinator at Amplius, and also is the Mayor of Sheffield for this year as well. So you've got 2 for the price of 1 this evening. And Nicola and colleagues are going to talk about some of the work they're doing within Biggleswade about youth participation. Some of us know a little bit about this, and I think other colleagues may not have as much knowledge. So I wanted to get Nicola to come and talk about that and share some of that useful information, and yeah, share that with us. And
thank you.
Go ahead. Yeah. So she's got, I think, a couple of slides as well. So
yeah, I'll just give a little bit
have
of
a look.
visual.
Yeah.
This is Harel Kilby. She works alongside me and actually delivers quite a lot of the sports program. So I just thought I'd share a little bit, highlight a little bit about what we do in Amplius, and then a little bit about Biggleswade. So I think it's a pressy. Yeah, that would be me, youth participation. So I've been at Amplius for 19 years. We weren't Amplius before, we were Grand Union, and then before that, Aragon Housing. I'm in the Healthy Neighbourhoods team, and we work across Central Beds, Milton Keynes, South Northants, and as we merged about a year ago, we have gone further afield. But particularly my area is Central Bedfordshire. We work in partnership with the local police, fire, town councils, parish councils, schools, DWP, pretty much anyone and everyone, a lot of youth contracts as well. And we do a lot of work with Central Beds. So I don't know anything about housing, so I'm really sorry if you've got questions, but I know someone who might know. Our little team in Amplius is literally me and one other person, and then I have an external team of youth workers. So we engage with young people, and the list there is not where it ends, but it gives a little bit of an overview. We work with age 8 to 24. And not just our tenants. So obviously I do get asked to work in our neighbourhoods, but I work with the wider community because what I found after 19 years of working in the company, I'm working with parents who bring their children to me. So, and they're living in our properties. So that's an important part to point out. And why? Because, when I first started, I was asked why we have a youth worker working in housing, but then we have children, young people live in our properties, and some of the work we do is about reduction in antisocial behaviour, along with lots of other things, and that's about addressing impact, and then that has and consequences of actions that has an impact in the community, in neighbourhoods and at home. So does create a little bit of conflict sometimes with the housing teams, because I might be working with a family or a young person and the housing team are looking at closure orders. That can be tricky, but again, that work is just as important. So funding wise, I have my own budget, excuse my voice keeps going on me. We have funding, I have a pot of funding through Amplius, but we also, because we work out in the community all the time, we're looking at external funding, so we have little pots all over the place, and we're quite resourceful as well. So again, that's never an issue, and because we are not restricted by certain areas or age range, we can pretty much do anything that is needed in a community. And detached work, I've noted on there with a little star, is because I know before Christmas, Jonathan, you asked me about some antisocial behaviour around the bus stop area. So if we know of an area, detached. Does anyone know what detached work is? So it means us. So like the police patrol and community safety teams patrol areas, it's similar to that, but we don't have a power to enact a law or anything. But our engagement with young people might be in a park or a town centre or in places where young people hang out. And because we're not sort of law or seen as that, we also might know some of the young people through school and other work that we do. Our interaction can be a bit more impactful. So we call it detached work because it's not detached to a building or an outreach centre. So, I mean, outreach is like we're bringing someone into somewhere, but yeah, so it is separate. And so if there is anything we need to report back, we will say, oh, well, we've seen this person, or we've made these reports to the police, or we can fill out multi-agency information forms. So we do quite a lot of things. And holiday programmes, particularly so, we run across here, Biggleswade. And that comes as part of something we do Easter, summer, Christmas, but other obviously half terms as well. And sometimes outside of the half terms, we might be running, we've got a programme called Grand Active, where we do sports programmes like outside of school. So we've hired out Saxon Pool, and we might do it in a block 3 months at a time, and we'll do badminton and basketball, tag, all that sort of thing. And we're encouraging children, young people and families to come in, and it's free. So we offer everything for free, but it's a really good way of connecting with them. So yes, there's lots of things we do. Okay. I brought up mentoring as a slide because actually mentoring is quite a big part of our work, whether it's in school, in the community, when I say community, I mean in a cafe. I've met many young adults having a cup of hot chocolate or something, talking over issues that they're having at home or in school. But also we've been part of initiatives where there's been funding around child exploitation. So we have, and a lot of that work was in Biggleswade a few years back. So again, it's mentoring has been a big part of that. If we're called into schools, we'll go and work with an individual or a group in schools. We'll also work in home, one-to-one. And if there's any youth hubs or youth clubs or anything that we need to go to, we'll do that. And we're always putting in safeguarding if needed. And I think the crucial thing about the mentoring work is the bridge between home, community and school, and it's all linking it all together. And sometimes if there's an issue in the community, the school will pick it up and the school will also then sort of pick up the vice versa. So it's the work that we do in between. I mentioned volunteering because we have a team of people that work alongside us, but we also have a lot of volunteers that like to come in and just help out. So which is really helpful. And also we encourage, because our age range is 8 to 24, we encourage people to come and volunteer. We also offer placements as well, any training opportunities. And we also know that we're working with children, young people that don't always fit into mainstream school education, but we can offer an AQA, which is what they do in school anyway, a certification for literally any subject. And that's quite interesting work and accredited learning. So intergenerational work, when I mentioned that, it's because a lot of our volunteers are older, and that's fantastic working with our young people and sharing skill-based stuff. So, yeah. And that picture is Nash. He's 72 and he's our DJ. So, So a little bit about Biggleswade. I think our figures are actually a little low there, but this was between April and December last year. But actually, I think it's higher than that because of the summer programme. So we break out our work down into participants and contacts. Participants are young people that take part in something longer than 15 minutes. So it would be a specific project, event, trip, whatever, or a mentoring. Whereas contacts, when we're out on detached work, we are coming in contact with someone. We're not necessarily going to take information like their name, address, or anything, unless we need to, around a specific issue. But generally we are coming in contact. So we keep those figures of how many people we're coming in contact and where. So it might be in a park down with our torch, we see someone huddling in under something, we'll have that engagement, we'll talk to people, and then we'll make a note of how many we've seen, where we've seen them, and what engagement that was. So that gives a little bit of a, and also we haven't got our up to 24 figures there as well. So, and some of the work we've done here and we'll still do is community school mentoring, outdoor sports. Because we've just come back after the new year, we haven't set the programme for Biggleswade yet, but I'm sure we'll be booking something which we'll invite you to. Oh yeah. And then we've got half-time programmes what we're actually planning at the moment. So we'll get that out to you. And we, like I said, we do it every year. It's just we just get on with it. I know sometimes I've emailed in and said, oh, we're in this park. We're going to use these parks throughout the summer, just so you know. And we just sort of just keep going. I wouldn't say it's my strong point in saying, oh yeah, but yeah, we do. And I've done quite a lot of work with DWP around employment for young people as well. So we call that Next Steps, and we offer CV writing, and we do the job fairs, at any we offer training as well. So and any community safety initiative. So we do link up with Biggleswade Community Safety Group, but also the community safety team from Central Beds. So sometimes we might work with them on foot, and some of their action days as well. So, okay. So our outcomes, I just put a little overview really of the impact of our work. We get a lot of feedback from parents, young people, community members, and anyone that's had any contact with our work. And then it generates something else. So if we've done a little project, it might be a little art session, and then that'll generate a conversation will come, well, what about this and what about this? And also if there is a particular, like I teach a class actually down at Stratton, opposite Stratton, the Eagle Farm playing field. And sometimes there is young people in there. And then what I do is I speak to them and then direct them to other things that we're doing, and get to know them that way. So it's really good to the feedback we get from there. Like I mentioned, I buy in sports coaches and other support or whatever it is we need. I know Harel's been working on the sports programme and run ragged with that through the half terms, which is fantastic. And we do work with Central Beds with the HAF funding, the holiday activity funds. So a little bit of that will come our way, and we then we plan activities anyway, but we'll use a little bit of that funding to add to it. So, and the last bit really, just summarise it all. We use lots of engagement tools to encourage children, young people, families to work with us. We're a little bit out there sometimes, do crazy things, but it works. And try and think outside the box. We liaise with lots of organisations, and if we do a consultation, which we sometimes do, we try and make that count. Like make it, if we're asking you this is what we're going to do. And so we just wanted you to know that we're out there, we're here. And yeah, that's it. Any questions?
Thank you, Nicola. That was really informative, and a great overview of your activity within the town. So that's really helpful. Yeah, has anybody got any questions for Nicola? Councillor Skilton.
Hello.
Hiya, thank you. That was very informative. I didn't realise that was what the talk was going to be about, and that Amplis did that kind of outreach work. I volunteer with Biggleswade Community Garden, which we have an agreement with Amplis to use some of their grass virgin Northfields estate. I think we'd like to run more activities for children in school holidays, but we often struggle with adult volunteers because most of our volunteers work full time, and so the times when the children might want to do something and we don't have the volunteers, but perhaps if there's some way we could link up to maybe make that happen. And obviously we have access to the Northfields Community Centre and look after the garden out the back of there, which is a great resource for that sort of thing. So I don't know if perhaps if you leave your contact details with the council, and then
absolutely.
Great, thank you.
We can absolutely help with that.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Skill. Councillor Agnew.
Hello, hi, good evening. Thank you very much for information. I just wanted to ask whether you have any central hub or place where you permanently use as an office, and also how do you advertise your services, as well as how do you put together the media for, like, when you call in for volunteers?
So our central hub is actually in Shefford. So we've got our office is there, but we've also got it was an old changing room from a football club that used to be down at Millennium Green, and with a little bit of PCC funding, we've converted it into a small little hub. It's not about how many people can fit in, it's what it does, and it's got Wi-Fi and everything in it, and that's quite a nice little space, which please do come and visit. And in terms of advertising, when we're putting together a program, we send it off to our comms team. They put together. We've got a new generic flyer that has a QR code for each half term, and then I'm getting better at it. Not brilliant. We try and get that out on as much social media as possible. Notice boards, word of mouth, talking in councils, wherever. Harel's helping a lot with that actually at the moment. So and has other ways of connecting with people. And also we're in schools, so we're giving stuff out in schools, and we're trying to encourage them to put it through parent mail and student mail. So, I mean, we do find word of mouth works better. But yeah, I suppose it depends on what we're recruiting for as well. So if it's a generic program like a summer program, then that some of that goes out on Central Bed's website anyway. And again, we could do a bit more on that. But if it's a specific project, then we might be doing a target for whoever it is we want in that project. So I don't know if that answers.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Strawn.
Thank you. Very interesting presentation. You mentioned that you work with youngsters outside the mainstream education. Does that extend to particularly the 18 to 24-year-olds? Because that is a particularly difficult time for those people, people and their families, because the transition stage from child to adulthood and from those people is very, very difficult. So how do you work in that respect?
The same as we would any other time, any other way. Because a lot of services are sometimes cut at a certain point. We always said that we wanted to be available. So whether it's an employment program or mentoring or or whatever it is, even just encouraging someone to get into a training thing or whatever, exactly the same way. And we recruit the same way, or we target the same way. And sometimes the 18 to 24 category will come through our housing team as well, because they might be working with a family that they've got an older young adult that might need some support, or it comes through children's services. Well, they've got to a certain point, and then they're like, well, what can you offer? So yeah.
Very encouraging to know that you're actually acting the link
Yeah. We
between
do work with
child and
older as
full
well.
adulthood.
Yeah, absolutely. We sort of don't really have a cut-off time either with the of mentoring and support, because I feel it's a natural progression and a natural people move on. Instead of saying, right, you've got 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, we're like, if you work with us, then you'll just continue to until you're ready to move on. And actually, we don't find it an issue at all. And it might be that a year or two later, someone will come back to us and say, oh yeah, you helped me with this, or can you still help us with this? And I think that's really good that we've got that wide, broad range. We do work with people over 24, but that's our sort of target.
Thank you. Councillor Barrett and then Councillor Foster, and then we'll move on, I think, after that, but that's all right.
Thank you. Really interesting. I've got a little bit of experience in housing associations. One of the problems we had was that the way we looked at different regions and things like that. So if you take Biggleswade, there may be 3, 4, 5 different housing associations doing something similar to you. But what was happening was you weren't actually all sort of coming together by town or by area to make real use of all the skill sets that you possess.
It makes sense.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem to happen.
No.
And it sounds, and you're nodding, it sounds as if it's still not happening. We were having real trouble making that work and sharing services, if you like.
It's not through want of trying.
Yeah, everybody wanted to keep themselves in little towns. So each town ended up a little bit of something, rather a lot of what was a really good service.
Yeah. It makes sense to work together because you're pooling those resources and you can offer more. And actually each housing association, I mean, what happens is sometimes it's like, well, no, this is our remit. This is our remit. Well, actually, there's so much more we could do. And I'm always open to it. And the same with youth services. You do have a youth provider in this area and we do connect. But there's so much more that could be done. It's just people, it's like a little silo thing, but that's okay. I mean, we're still here. We're still going to do what we're going to do. And if people want to connect with us, more than happy with that, because actually that's the whole point of working in communities.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Foster.
Thank you for the presentation. I found it really interesting and had no idea about it, so really good to find out. My question really was what can the council do to help you and the company organisation to, I guess, help support but publicise what you do?
Really, me coming in here today was just giving you an overview of what we do in the area, so you know. At the moment, we're just getting on with it, and I mean, I'm not asking for anything, but you might want something in the future. You might be looking at youth. I don't know. Whether it's a project or if there's something you want us to do, we can do it, and it might be a bit of that type of partnership work. So, but we can get involved in anything. So
yeah, and I think we'd be. You've emailed me things separately, but if you want to go through the office to advertise certain things, I'm sure we can look at that as appropriate or whatever. So because I think we'd want people to know about in the broader community as well. So Councillor Barrett, and then we'll wrap up.
I just wondered if we could facilitate getting all the housing associations together to actually help with the problem I outlined.
Yeah, we can certainly try. I mean, I think
it's not that I don't talk to them, because I do.
No, sure.
Suggestion, it was something we.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I mean, maybe I should know, but I don't know how many housing associations there are in Biggleswade. But yeah, I only thought there was Amplius, so there obviously we need to look into that. So, but maybe that's something, Karim, you can go away and speak to Nicola separately, and
I think partly
we can have a meeting
because
here. Yeah.
I'll shout the loudest, I suppose, but I don't even shout that loud. But different organisations do different things.
Sure.
So,
but I think if as Councillor Barrett was saying, if we can then get a measure of the kind of scale of activity, I think that's quite helpful for all.
It's handy for your community.
Community, champions to know about that. So, yeah, brilliant. Great. Well, thank you both for your time this evening. You're welcome to stay for a bit longer if you want, but equally if you want to escape, that's perfectly okay. I'm sure you've been to enough council meetings yourself, so yeah. Great. Thank you, Nicola. That's really good. Okay, moving on then to item number 6, members' questions. Is there any members' questions at all? No. Okay. Let's move on to minutes and recommendations of the meeting of the 9th of December. It seems rather a long time ago now, but isn't all that long ago. So I'll start with page 9, page 10, page 11, page 12. Sorry, Councillor Agnew.
Page 12B, third paragraph, members further agreed that Martin Law must remain. We need to remove B.
Sorry, can you repeat that again, Councillor Agnew? So I didn't quite hear that.
Members further agreed that Martin's Law must remain under, without B. Second paragraph from the bottom, I think. Must remain?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, must be remain. Yeah, sorry, you're quite right. Yeah, must remain. Sorry, I didn't spot that. Thank you. Okay, we'll get that changed. Sorry, page 13. Yep. Councillor Agnew and then Councillor Straw.
CBC consultation, second paragraph, members thanked. I'm not sure you need 2 there. Probably not. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so where was that again? Sorry, agree, members.
Second paragraph from the underlined CBC consultation, proposed changes to Ivor Valley. It says members thanked to Ivor Valley for facilitating.
Okay.
I think the preposition to is not required.
Yes.
I might be wrong. I'm not an English speaker.
Oh, right, yes, I think. Yeah, sorry. I hadn't seen it. Okay. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Yep, thank you. Sorry, Councillor Strawn.
Be very pedantic, but penultimate paragraph on the page, we've apparently got a new road in Biggleswade called Kitlands.
Yes, well spotted.
That could be Kitlands.
Yes, you're quite right. Thank you. Good, well spotted, everybody. Page 14. Page 15. And then page 16. Okay. Are we all happy with those minutes now? Yep, should we move it? Yep, okay, thank you. And then 7B is just to note the minutes, so we'll note them, okay. And then number 8, matters arising from the 9th of December, so we'll go through it again page by page if there's anything. Page number 9, matters arising, page 10, page 11, page 12. Councillor Strawn.
Item 8A, the members requested at the end, the conclusion, has there been a response?
Mr. Hussaini.
The town clerk follow up with CBC officers requesting the definitive TRO documentation.
Thanks. There still hasn't been a response though since we went back to them the last time.
Thank you.
Okay. Again, rather the last time.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Page 13. Page 14. Page 15. And then page 16. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, moving on then. Item number 9, items for consideration. The proposed changes to Ivor Valley School. As colleagues know, this has been, and as Councillor Fage mentioned in the public open session, this has been a consultation that's been running for a good few months now. It's, as I understand, potentially one of the largest investments that Central Bedfordshire Council will make or could ever make, and obviously that would be in the Biggleswade area. We know how important the school is to our young people locally and their families. and also to the immediate East Bedfordshire area, but also further afield as well. Ivor Valley is also one of the major employers in town as well, so it's an important factor. And I'm also pleased that as part of this process, a number of members, town council members, have visited the school to see for themselves, spoke with the team there, seen the building, seen the facilities and so on. And I think that was very welcome. I'd like to sort of thank the school for, on behalf of the council, for facilitating that and giving up a lot of their valuable time to arrange those meetings on those particular days that the town councillors could come in. I'd also like to thank Councillor Fage as well for his circulation of different bits of information from Central Beds that has been shared with all the town councillors over the past few weeks as well. That's been very helpful in terms of further background information as well. The consultation deadline is obviously on the 22nd of January, and I think we need to respond pretty quickly to this as it's coming up very soon. But I want to take some of your members' thoughts, ideas, suggestions, and kind of where we go from there, really. So I'm going to open up the floor to comments as to where we think the council should respond to the consultation. So, colleagues, Councillor Russell.
Thank you. I think there are some basic things to think about when we're looking at the different options. As Councillor Fage mentioned earlier, we want the right thing for the children and their parents. We want the right thing for the staff, but we also want the right thing for residents of Biggleswade and the wider community, because the school serves such a wide community. And it seems to me that with what's being planned up the A1 at Tempsford, there'll be even more demand for places at Ivor Valley. So having said that we want the best for everybody, for me, split site isn't it. So I think we don't want a split site of any sort. And talking about the ideas in the various options, I don't think we want a two-storey building either. I've heard it said that if there's a two-storey building, like one of the options, I think it was London Road, but it would only be offices and things on the top floor. I don't quite see that happening. And the thing that occurred to me thinking about it is there would obviously have to be lifts. I mean, we've heard about the physical disabilities of some of the children. Mm-hmm. There would have to be lifts. And then I went on to think about fire safety. And what's the first thing that you're told if there's a fire? Do not use the lift. So if there are children with disabilities on an upper floor, what happens? So for me, no split site, certainly no two-storey building. And on the split site, if there is a lift anyway, it's going to cost more in maintenance, in ongoing costs. There's a lot more I could say, but I think I ought to sort of let other people speak. But I'm going to make my thoughts very clear. I think the only option that actually does the right thing for the school is option 4, to build on a new site and build up a proper building that does everything that the school needs, that the children need, and that the town needs in the future, and would probably give enough room for expansion if it was necessary, because it's 300 and something now, but it wouldn't take much to tip it over 400 and up towards 500. If you're on a brand new site, you can allow for future expansion as well. So I would propose that we go for option 4, and I'm quite happy to put more arguments forward, but I'd like to hear what colleagues think.
Thank you, Councillor Russell. Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Councillor Russell. I couldn't have put that any better, if I'm honest. Just to build on that, though, I think to further support the points that you've made, if we reference some of their other options, one of them being rebuild on the existing site. When I went around the school, which again, massive thank you to the school for accommodating, that was incredibly helpful. the thing that we spoke about at the time was the disruption to the children and the impact that's going to have on their learning, not just short term, but long term. Things are already difficult, things are challenging. Why would we exacerbate that? And to have them going every day to a site that is effectively a building site, no matter how you move people around, there is a disruption. Children will thrive on consistency and structure there, and we would be disrupting that by advocating for that option. So I think if we're looking at what the pros and cons are of the different options as we work through this, that is one of the things that I think we should bear in mind for that one. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Councillor Alban.
Yeah, absolutely agree with both the previous speakers. One point about building on the current site is they will massively reduce the green space that's there, and that is very important to the children to have enough green space. A lot of it will disappear. There's traffic management situations as well. There's large numbers of vehicles arriving, and they come from all over the area, as we've heard. There will be more of that with more places, and that does cause issues for local residents. Okay, option 4 would the new site would deal with those traffic issues. There would be issues probably with traffic management in the London Road site too. So from affecting the residents from a disruption point of view, that would be the best site. I'll leave it at that for now.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Strong.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A number of issues here. I agree entirely with what's just been said by my colleagues. I think option 4 is the only sensible solution. Councillor Alban has raised the issue of access to the site. The new site is just off Baden-Powell Way, much better road access to it. It'll be a lot easier for transportation. There's been mention of the split sites. One of the options with remaining basically where they are and having a split site across there is that there's a public bridleway, I believe it is, going through the middle. Yes. And having visited the site and having being shown around and having seen the way the pupils were moving around and the security element there, getting into it was harder than getting into Fort Knox, and getting out again was nearly as difficult. It would be absolutely impossible, I think, for the school to function rationally and practically with that safeguarding issue there of having to go between split sites. I can see that there'd be more staff needed just to cater for all the movements around. As to the refurbishment of that site, I believe that there's asbestos in there, which is one thing. And there's recently been 1 or 2 articles about pupils who were school 50, 60 years ago who are now beginning to suffer from the asbestos related diseases. I don't think that would be prudent. And certainly from the practical point of view of the disruption to the pupils, because it's not a week or something, it is a year, 2 years that it's going to take. A lot of the pupils there suffer from autistic spectrum, and I think that would be so detrimental to their health and well-being to have the disruption of going there and being shifted around from place to place. I think that would be set them back years in educational development and personal development. I think that would be absolutely cruel for them and their families, and I don't think that is another reason why that shouldn't be an option. I just, on the funding side, yes, there's obviously got to be financial considerations, but I think it should be remembered that the DFE was prepared to fund a new school in the area and provide monies for that. Hopefully that Central Beds would be able to look to get further additional funding from the DFE. There's also the issues about redevelopment of the site, and if they wanted to build a housing development, a small housing development on that site would recover some of the monies. There are so many reasons, but there is only one practical option which is best for everybody, even though there may be financial consequences that are being a bit more expensive. And I'm sure there are ways of funding things. And that's, I believe, is option 4.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Strawn. Councillor Russell.
Having heard what colleagues are saying, may I make a formal proposal
Of course, yeah.
that we respond to central beds and make the arguments for option 4? And I think there are other arguments that others may want to come forward with.
Yeah.
But as far as the finances are concerned, it's cheaper to build on a new site than it is to faff around on an existing site. The current buildings would never be as good as the new build, and they would still take a lot of maintenance. I mean, one of the options is do nothing but spend money on maintenance.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, it would still have to happen.
Yeah.
And there's talk about having to put utilities to the site of option 4. My understanding is that the land available that's owned by central beds is probably more than the school would need, even with allowing for expansion.
Yeah.
So I'm sure central beds could make a little bit of money back from some housing on that site as well as building on the Hitchmead site when it's vacated in due course. So there are lots of arguments to put forward.
Of course, yeah.
I hope colleagues have got other things to think about, but I think we've made some good points
Absolutely.
that we can go back to central beds on.
Yep.
And I think the other point financially actually is that a new build would be much cheaper in revenue terms going into the future than trying to accommodate on a split site or whatever. And as the former chairman of Stratton, while it's in my mind, I would like to just mention that using part of the school farm may not be the best way forward in educational terms overall for the town, because you visited Edward Peake School, which is now a secondary school, but it's a secondary school without a sixth form. So we're going to have more young people coming through now that we've got 2 secondary schools. At some point in the future, school age children will go up. I know we've had a bit of a dip, but it will go up. And we may need to build a sixth form centre on that school farmland so that we've got the 2 schools and a separate sixth form centre, which could have access from Hitchmead Road, which then makes it easier for connections with Edward Peake School. So it would be a sixth form centre, a bit more standalone. And the 2 secondary schools. And that was another thought that crossed my mind thinking about all of this. So for all the reasons that we've talked about so far and any other ideas that colleagues have got, a formal proposal to argue for option 4.
That's great, thank you. And are you seconding that, Councillor Barrett? Yeah, good. I was about to ask, I need a seconder, so that's great. Brilliant, okay. So all those in favour then of the motion as set out by Councillor Russell? There you go, unanimous, brilliant, okay. So Asia, I think that is there a form presumably that we need to fill in, and so we can, I think you picked up the tenor of the debates, but if you want to run that past me before it goes off tomorrow, we can do that, yeah, thank you. Joe, sorry, Councillor Jones.
Just a quick question, just on Councillor Russell's point of, do you need us to drop notes or anything on further supporting arguments towards it, or you think we've got enough to be able to populate the response?
I think we've got enough. Thank you, Councillor Jones. But yeah, thank you for that.
Could I just make the point about that individually it would be helpful for us to reply to the response as well. So the more voices that
yes, no, that's a good point.
So whilst we will be filling the form on behalf of the council, I think is that the only method that we have of responding as a council? It seems to me that is there another format to respond rather than on the survey as a single consultee? Because it strikes me that we don't want to be just included as part of that process. I'm not quite sure what that looks like, but it seems to me that there should be a more official response from the town council, whether there's a letter that's written as well as replying right to the survey, so that it's registered from the council as opposed to another consultee.
I think you're right, Councillor Foster. I mean, I think there's the 2 bits there. I mean, we can all respond as private individuals as well, which I think will help. You know, if people want to do it that way, we do need to fill in the correct form, but we can do a narrative letter, as I think you've just described. Councillor Russell.
I'm agreeing with what Councillor Foster said, because I'm thinking back to the community governance review, and how this council's response was treated. It was just handed to the person doing the consultation. And it's not right that as a town council, we should be treated in the same way as a member of the public.
Yeah.
So I think we do need to do a letter.
Yes.
And possibly make sure that that letter goes to the relevant director and the relevant cabinet member.
I think that's
separately.
That's right. Yes,
than to the officer conducting the
yes.
consultation. We need
Individually.
to get our message across, in other words.
No, indeed. I'll let the Mr. Hussaini sort of find out the relevant people, and we can draft a letter and get that sent in, I think, as soon as we can before the deadline. So I think we've captured most of the points, but it's just, I say, emphasising that point rather than it being lost, as you say, Councillor Russell, in the other consultation responses.
But also the forms straitjacket you.
Yeah.
And you can't necessarily say what
No,
you want.
indeed, absolutely. Yeah, we can do that, no problem. Great. Okay, thank you very much for that. That's I think positive results. 9B, another consultation. Police funding in Bedfordshire. Councillor Jones.
What you just said, I've just written that down, Councillor Russell, the form straitjacket you, and that is the perfect line to explain the QR code on this supposed consultation. I'm struggling with words on this one. I'm really struggling, and you know me, I have lots of words. So thank you, Councillor Foster. I truly don't understand how this is a consultation in any way, shape or form, where the exact question is, and I've just brought it up, is do you agree with us increasing the police element of the council tax? So what are you asking me for? What's the exact purpose? It's completely farcical. It is what it is. I can't influence it or change it, but it's, you know, to use your words, Councillor Russell, it's straitjackets you, and I think that's perfect. And that is all I have to say. Thank you.
Go on, Councillor Foster.
Might I respond to that? I entirely agree, Councillor Jones, and I think what the council's response should be that we make no formal response to it as a council, but that individually that we choose to respond. That would be my own personal view, but I agree entirely that it's ultimately it's up to the PCC to decide whether he wants to increase the precept or not. So it's there's of no benefit, and it's one of those consultations which is a pretty pointless. So thank you very much, but I think we note it, but individually respond if we need to.
Okay. Councillor Barrett.
We had presentations from the PCC, and some of the things that he said he was going to do are actually some of the things he's using as justification for actually raising the this time. So it doesn't really fill me full of joy that he's actually going to achieve anything if he has the extra money, because he didn't do the things he said he was going to do when he came to see us last time. So I agree with everybody else at this stage.
Yeah. Okay, Councillor Strawn.
If there's any comfort, the PCC is being abolished in any event, and the question that really does come out of this, which is not actually part of the question, is Bedfordshire Police viable as a single police force on its own? It's been underfunded for years. I had the privilege or misfortune to stand for PCC many years ago, and it was terribly underfunded then. It still is terribly underfunded by central government. It is what it is as far as we're concerned, but the PCC is being abolished, so he won't have many more opportunities to raise council tax.
No, okay. So I think, was that a proposal, Councillor Foster?
I'm quite happy to make a formal proposal that the council doesn't respond formally and that it invites members to respond should they choose to.
Okay.
I'm quite happy to second.
Okay, there we go. All those in favour? All right, that's unanimous. Thank you. I think, yeah, okay, great. Right, 9C, Shortmead Street waiting restrictions. Proposal from CVC. Councillor Russell.
The papers we've got don't explain really why they feel that they need to change this.
No, that's
All
true.
it says is that the existing waiting restrictions are no longer considered necessary to manage traffic flow. Well, I think they probably are, because if you have less restriction, the number of lorries coming up and down Shortmead Street and they have to go into the gaps between the parking bays to allow another oncoming lorry. So I think that we should oppose this. Whether we'll get anywhere or not, I don't know, but I think the restrictions should remain as they are.
Okay. Councillor Alban.
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with that. I agree with that it's a strange sort of justification for doing this, because it says it's to manage traffic flow. But to my reading is that cars will still be there. It's just that they can be there for as without restriction. So the cars will still be there. So it makes no difference to the traffic flow, as far as I can see.
Okay.
It's just that you can park there longer than the current restrictions.
All right. Okay. Councillor Barrett, then Councillor Jones.
I would support Councillor Russell there. I don't understand why they're making the change just to that one. There's a number of other bays. You could argue the same along that street there. So why pick on one? That particular one. I would agree that we should oppose this.
Okay. All right. Councillor Jones and Councillor Strawn.
So I'm sort of somewhere in between. I think it comes down to a confusion. So is it to allow for more residents parking because they can be there longer, in which case it makes sense. When you have a look on the map, how close it is to town versus how much further away it is from the North Roundabout, I just couldn't figure out what the reasoning was. So on the one hand, I agree with Councillor Alban, the cars will still be there. So actually, does it make any difference? Like, do we just don't worry about it? It doesn't suggest to me that the cars wouldn't be there effectively. So I think I'm just curious to understand, but I don't know if there's enough time for us to understand that to make an informed decision, or we just go with it.
Okay. I've got Councillor Knight online, so I'm going to take him and then come to you, Councillor Strawn, and then Councillor Russell. Okay.
Thank you. My understanding is this is related to residents. Not recently, a year or so ago, I did speak to some residents, or one resident in particular, who raised concerns about parking. So I wonder if they've been lobbying Central Beds to relax some of the restrictions to make it easier for them. And I wonder if that's what's driving this.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Knight. Okay, Councillor Strawn.
I think basically the removal of this restriction would allow all-day parking there, if I've understood it correctly, which is, so it looks rather like some of the residential streets elsewhere is what it's there. But what I do notice is that we should have commented by the 9th of January. So whether we will get anywhere with any observations we make now is another matter.
Yeah, we have an extension. Mr. Hosseini said we have an extension. So I'm guessing until tomorrow. Yeah, so we kind of need to have a comments in by this evening. So Councillor Russell, yeah.
Well, I think the issue for me is this now, from what I'm hearing from colleagues, it's a balance between what the residents need and actually what the businesses down there need. Because allowing cars to park all day means that there's less flexibility, and people do park in Shortmead Street and walk into town. And there's the vets there. There's a lot of traffic parks while they take animals to the vet. There's also an extension of parking for the care home, because there's only a limited amount of parking in the care home. So I still think that the restrictions should remain as they are, because if people have bought places without a parking place, they know what they're doing when they buy a place or have somewhere. They know what they're coming into. And I think we need to look after the businesses and facilities in the town as well.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Right, Councillor Jones.
Sorry, I know we want to move on. Just a quick question. Does it set a precedent? So if we supported it and it went through, then for these residents, other residents would surely realise they could do the same. I'm just thinking like how that then works for the whole street in terms, if you think some of the businesses further down, like Biggles Lounge, for example, there's a reason that it's only got a couple of hours.
I mean, it's possible because we don't, I mean, we think we know what the underlying reason is for the change, but we don't really 100% know, do we? We're just kind of trying to guess. But I get if that is the reason, then other people potentially could lobby. But there's a risk. Councillor Barrett.
Those arguments would make perfect sense if there were more spaces. We're only talking about 4 or 5 spaces here, and there are a number of flats that, you know, so the number of residents and number of businesses far outweigh the couple of spaces that we're talking about. So it needs to be a properly thought through proposal for the whole of the street, really, all around the businesses, not just one little slot. So I think if we do say yes to this, yes, it will be done in piecemeal way, but I think it needs to be opposed at this stage until we get a proper response from CBC as to the best way to manage it along that street.
Okay, thank you. Is that a proposal? Okay, there's a seconder for that. Okay, Councillor Russell. Okay, all right. So all those in favour of us opposing the sort of sending in objections to the order as set out. Okay, all right. Yeah, I think that's a majority. I think that's a unanimous. Just about there, Councillor Foster. Yep. Okay, so Asia will respond accordingly on that one. Thank you very much. 9D, so almost seems a little bit pointless almost raising this, but CBC consultation 26-27 budget. I mean, we could be talking about this for hours, but has anybody got any initial thoughts on it or comments? Councillor Foster.
Chairman, if I may.
Of course.
Realistically, given the issues that are well publicised in relation to central government funding for the Central Beds Council, there is really not much of an option for the council other than to increase its preset by 5%. Again, there are so many services that do need to be provided, and even with a 5% increase, because they are restricted to a maximum of 5%, unless they are, then it's outside of the ordinary. Essentially, they have to protect the services that are in place already. So again, it's a consultation. I suspect that some residents will be not supporting it, but ultimately, I think there's a reason for in this particular case. It's important that there is a 5% increase to maintain the services that the council already delivers. The frustrating part of it is the fact that their funding has been reduced, which means that they have to increase the preset, which directly impacts residents in the town and the area. On the council tax. It shouldn't be done that way, but there is no option for the council.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Russell and Councillor Strong.
I agree. I have some sympathy for not only Central Beds, but a lot of our unitary and principal councils. I think, though, that the council does need to make itself more effective. There need to be some structural changes in the council. There will have to be some redundancies, but there needs to be proper structural change. And they have a director of resources and organisational change, and I think he needs to get a grip on what's happening. And, you know, things like the amount of working from home and therefore teams not working effectively together. There are things like that that need to happen. So I have a great deal of sympathy and I mean, there's no point in opposing what they're doing. As you say, they have to do it. But I do think Central Beds could get a bit more of a grip about the way it runs itself.
Okay, thank you. Noted. Councillor Strong.
I think the Central Beds have no choice but to raise it as they're doing for the very reasons stated. They've got to look at how they manage themselves inevitably, but in terms of our actually being consulted on it, they have no choice if they're going to maintain any kind of services close to the level they're doing. There are reasons that are outside our control, certainly as town council, outside Central Beds control as well as far as that. So I think we should just note it with possibly just passing on the Councillor Russell's comments that they should review how they do it. And do they need a head of structural review and services? That could save a few pounds somewhere along the line.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Strawn. I think, go on, Mr. Hussaini, yep, go on.
Thank you, Chair. So we've been invited to a briefing session for the consultation on the CBC's budget, where the leader will be leading it and various other finance directorate and other people. The only issue is it's for officers or members, but it's on the exact same time next Tuesday evening, the 20th, where we're having our preset meeting. So the town clerk asked me to kind of sort of raise this basically anyway, and just it's putting it out there. I can circulate the email anyway for information purposes. Maybe leave it at that, but there's a briefing session.
Okay, well, I think that's useful information, but I think for obvious reasons, probably not many people are getting in this room are going to be watching it because we're going to be in a meeting next week. But yeah, Councillor Strawn.
Just as a matter of information, I attended the briefing last year when it didn't conflict, and it was very useful and instructive, and it was very helpful. But we have a council meeting which is dealing with just the issue that they're raising. So I think in the circumstances, I don't think there will be any town councils or council officers available to attend unless somebody tells me to the contrary.
Okay, no, I think you're right, Councillor Strawn. I don't think there is. I mean, we've got an idea of just noting it and moving on. Is our colleagues happy with that? Okay, right. Okay, well, let's just do that. Just note it then. Thank you. 9E, street naming application. Thought this was quite an interesting suggestion and quite a lot of guidance that went along with it as well. Councillor Skilton.
Thank you. I was a street naming and numbering officer for 6 years for a unitary council in London. This name, the street name they've given is Ryland. That is not a street name. That's just one word, and their guidance says it should have a street name after it. Yes. Which, if you look at most emergency service guidance on street name and numbering, they suggest that it has a not a one word, that you get a street and a suffix, because when an emergency operator is, they're almost always expecting to hear something road, something street, or whatever it may be, and so a one word can cause confusion to emergency service phone operators, or so it's believed. And so I think that they need to propose a road with a proper name, not just one word.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Strawn.
Taking into account Councillor Skilton's expertise on this, perhaps we could actually suggest that, in looking at the 9 dwellings, I imagine would be a close. So why don't we suggest Ryland Close?
Okay, I think we can go back with that one. Curiously, one of the houses at Edward Peak is also called Ryland, so they do get a mention within the town still as well. But I think we can take that forward to Ryland Close. Yeah, all those in favour as I'm not detecting any criticism, so I've got an agreement for Ryland Close to go forward. Brilliant. Oh, lost my notes. Okay, thank you for that. On to planning applications now. 10A, Unit B, Normandy Lane. That's one of the business units. No objection? Okay, right, moving on. 10B, 18 Stratton Way. Single story, side and rear extension garage conversion. Councillor Barrett.
I think previously we had no objection to this. I think we've done that before, but however, there are some interesting notes that have arrived on there since. One of them was actually by Councillor Fage regarding the building and the size of the bedroom that's actually being proposed, which is much smaller than some of the rules would necessarily allow.
Okay.
So I think that needs to be looked at. So from our point of view, I think we should support the comments that have already been made up on the portal, that we would at this stage support those comments.
Okay. So we're not objecting, but we're supporting the comment, just saying refer to comments essentially. Okay. Councillor Strawn.
Just an observation. Officers have requested an extension of time. I assume the extension of time has been granted for dealing with these applications, and that might be useful if it was actually said that it had been. But it does always bother me that we've got so many ones that we've had these extensions of times for necessary reasons, I imagine, but I don't think it reflects particularly well on the council that we're having to ask these ever-ending extensions.
The problem is, Councillor Strawn, because there was a whole dump of planning applications over Christmas, and the way that things have, calendars and everything have worked out, that's why a number have been sort of timed out. It's not due to any laxity from officers, because Councillor Albone will also know that a couple we've had to look at, just the two of us in a meeting just to get a response and things like that. So because the turnaround's been so short. So
forgive me for the sake of clarification. I wasn't blaming our officers for the fact that they've done the right thing by requesting the extension. My concern is the fact that we're having to request the extensions.
Yes, yeah. You mean in other words, you mean CBC should be offering it already? Is that what you're referring?
Well, I think it's just we've got a tight time scale, and our meeting schedules do make it very difficult. But I don't think it looks particularly good seeing extension.
Okay, all right, okay.
Particularly when we're considering extensions.
Okay, an extension. Okay. Councillor Russell.
It seems to me that this is because of the Christmas holiday, and I think it's right that Central Beds could think to themselves, actually, we'll add 7 days to this. I know they've got their statutory times, but really 7 days over Christmas isn't going to make
it also doesn't look very good. It looks like they're trying to sort of sneak things out, even if they're not, but the optics are not very good. Okay, so 18 Stratton Way, no objection, but we'll support the comments. Yep, okay, great. 10C to the Avenue, demolition of existing garage with erection of 2-storey extension. Subject to neighbours. Okay, great. 10D has been withdrawn, the garage blocks at Glebe Road. I have a feeling that may well come back in 6 months or so, 6-9 months, but we'll keep an eye on that. 10E, Biggleswade Scout Group, removal of porch. Subject, haven't really got any, so I think that's okay. 10F, 49 Stratton Way, subject to neighbours, 16 Walker Mead, single story rear extension, subject to neighbours again. Okay, great, thank you. H, 32 Shortmead Street, the 2 agricultural buildings, single story, etc. Councillor Barrett.
This is a strange one. I may need help from others who've been around for longer, but I read through the information about this, and it looks like there's been some issues between the resident and the council, CBC, in the past. And the building, I think, that is looking to be knocked down to be replaced is of historical significance. However, in the words that were being produced in there, it would suggest that because it's further back off the road, no one gets to see it anyway, is one of the arguments. However, that shouldn't necessarily be the reason for it, but it's also fallen into disrepair because of the arguments, I think, between CBC and the resident over a number of years. And I think the resident potentially may not have just maintained it in that situation. So I think in this situation, I think the resident perhaps should be looking to refurb it and keep it as a historical building rather than looking to knock it down and replace it with something new. So I think I'd rather we should object to this on that basis.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Russell, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, this person has tried several times to work with Central Beds on this. The argument is that it's in the conservation area, which of course it is, but he is a working farmer. Yes. And he needs the building. I mean, the existing building doesn't, he can't fit his farm machinery into it. That's why he needs a new building. So I think actually we should support him in this because it's been backwards and forwards. And as has already been said, you can't see it from the road. The building that's there is not usable for what he wants to use it for or needs to use it for. And I think, this argument about it being in the conservation area, as opposed to being a building of real historical significance, is a bit spurious.
Okay, all right, thank you. Councillor Albone.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should support the application, but there are notes from the ecology officer concerned with bats and so on, which I think should be taken into account because it is. It's occupied.
Yes, occupied by different different species. Yes, yeah. No, I know the barn on Shortmead Street. I think I know the barn you're referring to, and it's certainly very elderly. I'll put it that way. But I hadn't realised it was still being used, so that's quite interesting. Okay, so any further questions on that, Councillor Strawn? You had your hand. No, okay. So I think, are we going to agree that we'll support the application then? No, also no objection then. Okay. Councillor Alban?
Yeah, but just take account of the notes
Okay.
in the same way as you did with the previous.
Okay,
application.
so no objection, but take into account the notes of the bats and wildlife issues that are there. Thank you. I, number 1, Dells Lane. It's a tree preservation order. No objection. Oh, Councillor Alban.
I think it's a shame that they have to go, but they are, well, not all of them, but they're obviously end of life, some of them. So I think the arboricultural officer at CDC will take a decision on this, I'm sure. But it does say to replace them with native species. Obviously, that'll take a little while to replace them.
Yes, no, I did think that was a positive that they did say they're going to put 5 new ones.
It will change the view of that area significantly.
Yeah, no, it will. It'll certainly make it a lot brighter in that sense, won't it? Okay, thank you. So, well, it's just I don't think just noted, isn't it? Yeah, there's nothing we can add to that. And then there's the planning appeal, Unit B, Normandy Lane. About the Pegasus Drive vehicular access. Note it.
Well, yeah, note it, but it's the same as 10A, which is
exactly.
Yeah,
so it's they obviously want to do lots of work on that that unit, so that's fine. Okay, just noted then. Planning outcomes, I think you've got them in the pack, so no questions on that. And then moving on then to number 12, 12A, financial management report. Ernest, is anything you want to add that's sort of over and above that's in the paper? No. Thank you. Councillor Barrett.
The only thing I noted on there was the top comment around allotments. We seem to have a number of allotments not being used, sort of 10 or not being used, are being offered up to other tenants there, they're not being taken up. I just wonder if we got any way of fixing that.
Do you have any thoughts, Mr. Saini, on the allotments issue?
Yeah, so obviously we've got a 0 waiting list, which is a good thing. We've got new people on the waiting list now, sort of joining slowly, gradually, because I think it's probably the sort of time of year, essentially, as well. We've done a lot of work in the last 2 to 3 months in particular to monitor closely all kind of plots with obviously photographic evidence as well taken of the condition, and where it's deemed that that condition has not improved despite several prompts, we have taken back quite a few plots. I haven't got the exact number to hand, but we are in the process of reoffering those out. That's progressing quite well, actually. So I don't think we've got too much surplus at the moment, but we have some.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Strong.
Note those observations, and my reaction is that possibly a report should be going to PLOS about the allotment situation and clarify the details as to why there are empty plots, etc. So I don't think that's for today, but that's for the next meeting, next PLOS meeting.
No, I'm sure Mr. Saini will flag that and it can come to PLOS for next time round. Okay.
Move the report be noted.
Pardon, sorry. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Councillor Strawn. Okay, so moving on then, items 13, items for information, none. Then number 14, public open session. Councillor Fage, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, thank you again for the comments on Ivor Valley School, and on behalf of Mark, he has a very early start, but he did just ask me to pass on the thanks from him on behalf of the school for the thought that you've taken into your response as well. One other thing, just a quick plug. This Thursday is joint committee, which is becoming increasingly interesting now that it's got a chairman who's picking very selectively what items come to it. So this Thursday, and a great deputy chairman as well, Councillor Russell. This Thursday we have the ICB coming. So if anybody wants to come along and hear what they have to say or ask some questions, you're welcome to. They've been delayed a couple of times, so we're looking forward to hearing what they have to say. There's also an item on the joint committee about terms of reference for engagement for developers to the east of Biggleswade. So in light of what the decision or the recommendation that you've put to central beds around Ivor Valley, that will all feed into how we engage with those developers. So if anyone has any comments on those, on that paper that is going to joint committee, feel free to get in touch because I drafted it and I'm happy to take feedback, but it's in the public domain now.
Thank you, Councillor Page. That's great. And I'm sure, as well as the chair and deputy chair, there's some excellent members on that committee as well who will look at things in the scrutiny that it deserves as well. So I think that'll be a productive meeting on Thursday. Great. Okay, so we're going to finish the public open session and use the new text that has been given to me by the by Mr. Hosseini. So we have a correct wording about the exempt session. So bear, it's the bottom one, isn't it? Okay, it's the bottom one. Okay, so do bear with me. Okay, we need to have a vote to move into an exempt session. So we need to vote to move into exempt session. All those in favour? Thank you. Great. So I move that in accordance with pursuant to section 1 brackets.
Excuse me, forgive me, Chairman. Shouldn't that be before we vote rather than afterwards?
Well, no, it was before, wasn't it? Oh, right. I was just trying to get on with it. Sorry. I'll start again. Sorry.
Too late. We voted.
Yeah, we voted, but I'm just wondering, any committee chairman who are going to do exempt session have got to do this. So, okay, I move in accordance with or pursuant to section 1 bracket 2 of the Public Bodies Admission to Meetings Act 1960, the press and public be excluded from the following items on the grounds of confidential nature of the business to be transacted. And then that will be the town council minutes. That's the meeting. And then we have the vote, please, just to make sure we've done it properly. Thank you. That's all in favour. And so members have now voted that this meeting now be closed so that we can move into exempt session in accordance with or pursuant to section 1 of the Public Bodies Admission to Meetings Act. The press and public be excluded from the following items on the grounds of the confidential nature of the business to be transacted. Thank you.